live long. My daddy told the story of how he rode home in the buggy that carried his father's casket to Willow Oak Cemetery, the creaking of the buggy and the wooden box that carried the shattered hopes and dreams of his family. What a tall order for such a young boy. So by the time Daddy was only 7 years old, he and his siblings were orphans. They needed parents, and they deserved good ones. Relatives came in and divided the children up, taking them into their homes. The children were separated, but at least they had some place to call home and someone to call family. Daddy didn't have an easy life and was treated badly. He had to sleep in the barn sometimes and wasn't allowed to attend school past junior high because he was required to work in the fields. His pay was only about 50 cents a week, and at Christmas time he would only get a quarter and an orange. Daddy may have had only an 8th grade education, but he was always smart in my book. At 18 years old, he packed his bags and started out on his own. At first, he got a job building bridges with the railroad, but later he moved to Pelly and began working in the refineries of Humble Oil. He endured the heat, the heavy physical toil, and the toll both took, but he didn't complain. Despite the hardships, he was never a victim. My daddy was a slender, handsome man, part American Indian, who stood 5 feet 11 inches tall. Soon after settling in Pelly, he met my mother, Georgia Lee Case, a beautiful young woman who grew up there. Mother was the oldest of 6 children and a true Southern lady. She never met a stranger. To her, everyone was honey, darling, or sweetheart. Mother's daddy worked for Gulf Oil, and they lived in a pretty little house on the water. She and Daddy started dating soon after they met. Mother made Daddy very happy, and her family adored him. They got married on August the 4th, 1928, and spent their honeymoon on Galveston Island. I have a picture of them taken on the beach in front of a famous restaurant in the background. I took the picture to show the owner and his family, and they wanted a copy. It still hangs in the restaurant there on the beach today. Mother was only 18 when she and Daddy married, and 5 years later I was born. Daddy may have had a rough start, but as God always does, He redeems our past and makes all things new. He promises a good and bright future, one with hope and goodness. I think Daddy wouldn't have been the great man he was if it not had been for his past, because he learned to treat people right, with the dignity and respect they deserved. Instead of becoming bitter about his losses and hardships, by the grace of God, he became a blessing to Mother, to me, and to countless others. Strong hands and a soft heart. As you can probably tell, I have always had a tremendous amount of respect and admiration for my daddy. He was a man with strong hands and a soft heart. Daddy worked extremely hard to provide for Mother and me. One day they took me to a store and bought me 10 dresses at one time. I was so blessed. Both Mother and Daddy treated me like a queen. My dad also had a big heart for the community. He volunteered as a deputy sheriff and was a great helper of widows. He would mow lawns for them or repair things around their houses. He also loved to care for servicemen. Mother and Daddy would often open up our home to those in the military stationed in Baytown. When wives came to visit on the weekends, they would stay in our spare bedroom to help save them from the expenses of hotels. Everyone tried to be patriotic during the war in the 1940s. I loved having people in my house, and I looked forward to visiting with them. Daddy would help anyone in need when he could, and that included Mother. Even after a long day at work, he was always willing to help her in the house. He'd usually recruit me to be his assistant, and we would have the best time. Mother might have been a perfectionist when cleaning, but we weren't, and she never knew it. Out of 37 years working at the oil refinery, Daddy only missed 5 days of work because of sickness.